Hello, hello, hello. Sand fam, how are you doing on this Wednesday? Let's go to the main screen. Disclaimer, I do not have a face cam today because I don't have a green screen and we are doing a lot of renovations today and our house is a mess behind me. So I'm gonna skip that for today. But we are going to be doing a tutorial or just a little look at components in the game maker. And of course, feel free to ask any questions. Before we get into that, how are you guys doing? Hey, Go West, I see you there. You're in Ireland today. Are you on holiday? Nice of you to drop in on your usually asleep hours. And hello, Wicked You, and hello, Tom Voxel. No, you were not first. You were third. You are often first. At least I remember that. Question, how are you doing, V? I'm actually doing okay. I'm doing alright. Just chilling a little bit to do a stream, you know? That kind of de-stresses me most of the time. And Wicked You is coming there with some dead fellas in the chat, which is very appropriate because look at what we are doing. Or we are not doing it right now, but you know what's going on right now. It is, we have a Dead Fellas Game Jam that started this Monday. So the Dead Fellas Game Jam is themed with boss battle. So if you guys want to participate, you have to create an exciting boss battle with some fun mechanics, which I am really looking forward to because of course, we don't have a lot of like integrated battle mechanics in the game maker, but I know for sure that I have at least many ideas for how you can make some interesting fun mechanics, just using, you know, the different logic elements to make something interesting, like a fun boss fight. I'm really looking forward to see what people come up with for this game jam, and I do hope a lot of you are going to participate, and if you're not, you should consider doing it. Even if it's not for the theme. I mean, the theme is brilliant. Thank you for Dead Fellas. Thank you to Dead Fellas for that, by the way. That was their suggestion, and I think it was a brilliant theme, so I readily accept it. But even if it's not the theme pulling you towards this game jam, you should always consider participating if you are able to, because there are so many benefits to doing so. You are putting more games in your resume, making you more likely to, you know, get work or get recognition in the future, which is great. You get chances of good prizes. You get exposure. You can enhance your skills. I mean, I speak from experience there. I joined a game jam on like the first or second or maybe third at the most day that I discovered the Sandbox, and that is how I just learned the game maker in 2 weeks basically and was already ready to do tutorials on YouTube because I learned so much from just participating in a game jam. So, you know, that's definitely a very fast way to do to get some learning done in the game maker. Plus it's fun. Same thing for Work Zombie there. Mine's doing the tutorials. Yeah, exactly. See, I'm sure that we are not alone, Work Zombie. I think this is a way a lot of people find their way into the Sandbox, and I would like to see that it is more people's way into the Sandbox, because I think game jams are just such a brilliant way to get introduced. Even if, you know, when you're joining a game jam for the very first time after you just discovered the game maker, obviously you have a lot of learning to do. You probably shouldn't expect to rank very high in that first one. That's okay. But at least you got all the benefits from it, even if you didn't get a prize. By the time it's your second game jam, you'll know a lot more. My second game jam, I won third prize, you know? So back then when I was just a community member, so you could definitely do that. I believe in you guys. You're brilliant. But yeah, definitely participate. We have this game jam going on until the 17th, I believe. Let me just make sure that I'm not saying wrong dates. Yeah, deadline is 17th of September at 3 p.m. UTC. And we have some extra exciting prizes from Dead Fellas themselves, who generously added 10 lands of their own lands to the prize pool. So these lands come directly from their estate. in the Sandbox. So if you win within the top 10, you will be sent a land from the dead fella's estate. That's some pretty exciting neighbors. Not gonna lie, and they're excited to have you as their neighbors, because you, if you place in the top 10, are a talented creator, and they're very happy to be neighbors with you. And if you win first prize, you additionally get a dead fella's NFT. Hype. That's right, Wicked You. Hype. That is hype. Very hype. These are some great prizes, so I hope you guys are very hyped up to participate in this one. So 17th of September, get creating immediately. If you haven't already, you have no excuse not to. We will vote between September 18th to October 20th, and then we'll take some time to process the results and do a live awards ceremony on October 21st. It says 7 p.m. UTC. My bad, that is wrong. I'll go and edit that just after this stream. It's 6 p.m. UTC. There was some confusion because the Twitch schedule actually said 7 p.m. UTC, and I was like, I'm really sure that it's 6 p.m. but the schedule is saying 7, so I put 7, and then I asked Alex, but it definitely is 6. So sorry for the error, but do join the award ceremony, even if you're not participating. It's fun, and just to watch that, it's fun, and you get to see some very talented creators and some fun games that you can play in the Game Maker, and probably also live on the map, Okay, so remember to read the rules. Disclaimer, read the rules, please, every single time, every single game jam, read the rules. Do not think that you're too good to read the rules because you've participated many times before. We sometimes change things. We do that because we want to adjust, and we want to make sure that we are as fair as possible and we are as clear as possible, and we do things the best way possible for you and for ourselves, so that things run smoothly and there are no misunderstandings and no errors happening, at least as much as possible. So things might change sometimes, at least a little bit, so make sure you read. Do not forget to do that. If you're new, let me just quickly link this Medium article in chat for anyone who hasn't gotten it. All right, there you go. If you're new to the Sandbox and the Game Maker, you should consider heading over to the Game Maker Academy. Get yourself some experience by just reading a little bit about how the Game Maker works. You can also get some, even if you're not new, there is still some information there that might be useful for you. For example, understanding multiplayer. There are still a lot of people who have problems understanding exactly the differences between designing a multiplayer game and a single player game, and how to use the logic in between these two different single player and multiplayer games. Now, just to learn how to read, voxel says. Well, if you don't know how to read, at least I think I gave you most of the important information just now. If you need to, need to learn things from the academy, there are also tutorials on YouTube, as far as I know, a few different ones. I have some, Cyberdragon has some, there are some in the Sandbox itself. On the channel itself, so there are some tutorials that you can listen to as well. But let's get into the Game Maker. Here we go. All right, today we're going to look at some components, because recently we looked at behaviors and we did not get the time to look at components. I did mean to look at components in that same stream, but I realized that it takes a lot of time to go through all of the things. And that is what I intend to do. Go through all of the things. Let's go through them. So, components. One thing you want to note, in case you did not watch any of the previous streams, is that we have two types of logic. We've got SP, that's single player, and then we've got MP, that's multiplayer logic. So these are different in the sense that anything that is noted as single player only happens locally to the player interacting with that logic. Anything that is marked with multiplayer, if it is a multiplayer game, it will happen to every player on the map when something is interacted with. So if, for example, if someone climbs up a ladder, everyone will see you climb up the ladder. If you walk through a door, everyone will see you walk through the door. I don't know where the door behavior is. It's not here. Oh, it's behavior, that's why. It's component. Right, so if you collect something in multiplayer collectible, everyone will see you collecting that item. So that's how it works. These are local, single player local, multiplayer is for everyone. They are also separated in categories here. Client only, so that's local. Synchronized is multiplayer. So you can also sort it, filter it here. All right. So, single player collectible component. Collectible means that you will be able to collect the object that you have placed in your experience. So in this case, this is a logic thingy. So, you know, that's not the most desirable thing to put a collectible component on, but that's not important right now. It could be a gem, could be a piece of sausage or whatever you need to, or whatever you need to collect, right? But that is what the collectible does. It allows you to collect the object. Do not have collision on a collectible. That's just rude. It's very annoying. It makes you do a little funny jump, and sometimes it leaves collision behind after you've collected it. So it's just a whole big mess. It might be confusing for you to see that it says collision when I just told you no collision. But collision just means that you need to run over it. So you basically need to collide with it. It doesn't mean that it has to have a collision box. You just need to be on top of it, run through it or whatever, and you will collect the item. It's single player, as I said. So if you were to place a single player collectible in a multiplayer experience, if someone collected that, no one else would see that as being collected. All right, so we can also collect it with interact. If you do that, you will have to press E. That will pick up the item. You can also send a message once you collect it. This could be, you know, to make something happen, something else happen on the map, right? So that is what messages do, in case you're not aware. You send a message once you collect this, and you can have something else happen. Maybe a dialogue starts, or maybe a quest completes. You know, lots of things can happen once you send a message, whatever it is you choose that message to be. The broadcast type just determines how is it going to send that message. It is by default on everyone in range, meaning when you pick it up, that message on collect is going to send only within the range of this yellow circle, gizmo thing. If you go to specific tags in range, it is also only going to send it within this range, but only to objects that have the specified tag, and the specified tag is whatever you put here. This could be enemy A, for example. Say there is another asset over here. This guy, he has the tag enemy A. You add tags down here. Enemy A. There we go. Now he's tagged enemy A, and this one asked you to send a message to enemy A. So that is how that works, and he's within range. It will not send the message to this guy if he is standing over here outside of this circle gizmo, even though he has the tag, but he's not in range. All right, so that was the collectible. Let's remove that. Drop component means that an object is going to be dropped once something happens. That can be usually death. So say you kill this guy, he's an enemy, this adventure jet dude over here, you kill him, he will drop an item on death. So once he dies, you can drop a preset or just a behavior. When you pick behavior, you're just going to spawn an asset. You get to choose here, asset to spawn, you click none, and then you pick from this menu here. You can select an ancient artifact if you want, or anything else, whatever you want. It'll spawn this asset once he dies, if the behavior wasn't, the component was on him, of course. Right now it's on this one, but imagine it being on Adventure Jet. And you can put behaviors on this artifact. That could be, you know, anything you want. It could be that it's a predator. don't know. Or it could have some components on it. It could be a collectible. So maybe he drops loot, he drops a coin, and you can pick it up. All right, so you can also add tags to it. We briefly went through what tags do. That's simply to make sure that things interact with the correct objects. So if something sends a message to a tag, that tag needs to be on that object. So if that collectible needs to receive any messages or it needs to interact with something, it might be useful that it has a particular tag. You can choose some physics for it as well. It can have no collision, dynamic, kinematic. All right, so if you choose preset instead, let's quickly go through what a preset is, because it's a very useful thing to know. If you go into this one here, this is your hierarchy on the bottom left corner. Go to your hierarchy. Let's find Adventure Jets. Let's give him a behavior. Let's just say that he's a soldier. We go here, we click these 3 lines here in the hierarchy on Adventure Jet. We say save to preset. Then we click new and we say Soldier Jet. Soldier Jet, if I could spell. All right, there we go, done. We've now created a preset. You'll also see in your asset library, if you click L, or if you just drag this one up and down, you will have a list called presets. This will show you all the presets that you've made, and this guy is now preset. If you place him, you will notice that he's now got the soldier behavior by default. If you edit this soldier behavior, say you want to make him attack slower or do less damage, run slower, whatever, right? Do whatever adjustments you want, add whatever components behavior you want, and then save to preset. He will be spawned exactly as you set him when you made him into a preset. That is where it is useful. Because usually you can spawn an asset with a behavior, but it'll always be the standard behavior. So it will not have been adjusted, just like what we did now. It will have the standard stats on it. So if you want a soldier that has less damage or whatever than the standard, then you need to add it as a preset. Otherwise, it will just spawn the default parameters for the soldier. Okay. So that's what spawning a preset does, and that is what a drop component is. You can also make things drop with a message or with either. So if you make it drop with a message, it just means that you need some message to be sent from another behavior, from a quest, from anywhere in your logic system. And once that message is received, it will drop whatever it is you set it to drop. Hey, Vox Machina, always great to see you. I love seeing your face here. Good to see you in the stream. I hope you're doing well. I see you're doing lots of awesome stuff with your students and all of that. That's amazing. Adventurers sold Jet. Did Adventurers sell Jet? Is that what happened? All right, let's move on to the next component. We've got an indicator. Indicator is very useful in many, many ways. It can be used as quest indicators, but it can be used for other things as well. You can add a display name, although this is something that I rarely use because I don't like to have a lot of text and other indicators pop up on my screen. It can get confusing really, really fast. So, and a piece of advice that I would give is to use indicators sparingly. Use it only when it's necessary, but there are times where I would say you do need to have it, so you do need to consider when it is important, but do not use it when it is not important, because it gets really confusing and distracting to the eye to see a lot of different indicators, names, symbols, etc. pop up on your screen constantly. So you can say display interaction if you want. If you tick this one on, you can edit the text that will show up on your screen. So when you interact with something, you press E. If you walk up to something, it'll then show some text with the E button next to it. So if I was to say take, and say this was a gem, for example, that I had put this indicator on, when you walk up to it, it would say E take. So it would show the player that they need to press E to take the gem. That's what the display interaction does. Linked quest ID means that if you have a quest up here in the rules system, you turn on quest, you add a quest, and you call it test, because that's what I'm gonna do. Now we have a quest here. I can link this to that test quest. It's not showing up, but I can do that. I can link it to the quest test. There we go. And that means that this indicator will be linked to it. And what does that mean? Righto. Quest cursors are three different things. It can be the quest giver, the quest objective, and the quest receiver. The quest giver will add a quest cursor that looks like a question mark above the asset that you have selected as the giver. So whatever asset is sending or object is sending the message to start the quest will have, sorry, did I say a question mark? I meant an exclamation mark. It'll have an exclamation mark above its head. So you'll know this from probably a lot of different RPGs. You'll see lots of exclamation marks above quest givers' heads, NPC heads. You know there's a quest there. You want to go and take it. And that is what this is for. If it is a quest objective, it's going to have a fun little square kind of diamond-shaped thingamajiggy above the object, which will indicate that this particular asset is part of the objective of completing the quest. If you put a receiver, again, you need to link it to the correct quest. If you put a receiver, that will have a question mark. Again, as you know from RPGs, if you complete a quest, there'll be an NPC standing there with a big old question mark above its head, and that is exactly what this is for. When you interact with them, they will complete your quest for you. I'm going to turn off the quest cursors, but that is what they do. Display over means if you've got it toggled on, and you've got a big wall or a lot of blocks in front of you, and you cannot actually see wherever this asset with the indicator on it is, you will still be able to see, for example, the quest indicator, the objective, or the exclamation or question mark. Or if you've got the display name on, you will still be able to see the name through the wall. This I generally do not like to keep on, although perhaps there are times where it would be useful, but just keep in mind that sometimes it can be a little awkward to see something that through a wall that you can't actually see, and you have no idea that it's there, but you do now because you've seen a random name through the wall. It can be a little distracting and confusing, but at times I suppose it can make sense. There are always exceptions to the rules, right? Visibility distance just means how far away will the player have to be before they can see the information, like the display name, quest cursor, etc. It is by standard 40, and 40 means 40 blocks. So a block is, 32 by 32 voxels. This particular size right here is the size of a block. So 40 of these is the distance that they'll be able to see the information in your indicator from. Hey, darken. Alien dance. Who's doing alien dances? Vertical offset means how far above the asset will the information be shown. So if you've got the display name, let's say we got that guy and we called him Adventure Jet because that's his name, and we put this vertical offset to 5, it'll be 5 blocks above his head. So it's gonna be far up in the sky. But you can do that. Display arrow, I usually also definitely do not use this one. I just find it very distracting. But what it does is it will have a small arrow that points down to the object that has the indicator on it. This may be helpful in finding out exactly where the object is on the map, but in most cases, this will not be something that you need. Interact VFX just means you might see a VFX when you interact. All right, so where did we go here? Quest cursor, we've been all through these, right? Okay, indicator. NFT details display. You can get an NFT image. I don't think I want to go through too much into this because it feels like this is you can show some details about your NFT basically. So this is useful in you know, museums or other cases where you want to show off an NFT, but I think this is generally not part of, you know, game design, although in cases it could be. All right, pickable component. Also, just quickly, I want to note this part here I did not comment on in the beginning. Performance impact is also part of what you want to note when you do logic. So it'll also have this for behaviors. You can see all of these that we're going through right now has impact null, meaning that their impact on your game performance is nothing. Although I would not say it's nothing, but it is low, definitely. And you can probably use a lot of these without really seeing any impact on your performance or your game's performance. This one says performance low. This means, as it states, that performance impact is some, but not too much. This is medium impact and high impact. What you might note is that all of the single player stuff is null impact. So one thing that I do want to note is that in general, single player logic is just a lot less heavy on performance than multiplayer logic is, because it has to synchronize for more people when it's multiplayer logic. So when you're designing games, if you're designing multiplayer games, please remember that you do not need to use multiplayer logic. You probably do in some cases, but definitely not in all cases. There was some misconception going on for quite some time after 0.8 came out, and people thought that you had to use only multiplayer logic in a multiplayer game. That is not the case. In fact, that is very, very advised not to do so, because it's heavier on your performance and you don't need it. So a lot of the time you can use single player logic instead of multiplayer logic in a multiplayer game. So always consider carefully in your game whether you need something to be synchronized for everyone, or if you just need one person who interacts with the logic to see the effects. So in many cases, you just need that one player to see the changes. In some cases, you do need everyone to see the changes, and that is when you use the multiplayer logic. For example, climbing doesn't make sense for single player. This doesn't even exist in single player, and the reason it doesn't exist in single player logic version is because it makes no sense to have a single player climbable. When a player in a multiplayer experience climbs up a ladder, if it was single player, I guess someone else would be seeing someone just sort of skipping from one location to the other because the climbable wouldn't be visible to them. Same goes for a door. If a door is closed and it was single player, another player might be seeing a player go through the door, but the door would still be close to them. So what it would look like to a different player would be that someone is walking through a closed door. So that doesn't really work. So it is quite important to have some things be multiplayer, but whatever you can make single player, make it single player. It's important to note, if you're making a single player game, do not worry about using the multiplayer logic. If you're using multiplayer doors, which is the only thing available, that is not going to be heavier on your performance, because everything in single player will behave as single player logic. It will not behave as multiplayer because there's only one person in the game. Okay. Alright, so what did we come to? Pickable. Pickable component means that you will be able to pick it up, not like collectible. Collectible will go straight into your inventory. Pickable will be like picking something up and holding it in front of you, or, you know, if you edit the offset, which you can do, You can have it pick up next to you and stuff like that, but basically you will be able to pick it up and hold it in front of you. And you know, if your Pickable has a tag and you go close to something that has a detection speaker, for example, it will notice that this tag is close by, and something will happen. A message will be sent out. Maybe it's a key that you've picked up, and a door will see that you have the key, and the door will open because you have the key. Something to that effect is how you can use the Pickable component. As I said, it's got a grab offset. You can do minus values, plus values, and you can just play around with that to see how the offset looks with your character. This is something that I can't really show unless I go into the play mode and test it out and everything, but I don't want to do that now. That's something that you should play around with yourself, whatever fits for your Pickable, how close you want it to the player's body, to the right arm, to the left arm, whatever it is you want. Opacity means if you want it to be opaque or slightly transparent when you pick it up, you can change this setting. I don't think I know many cases where I would want something to be transparent when I pick it up, but that is an option and it's there. Message unpicked means that it'll send out a message when you pick it up. This can be useful, of course, in many ways. So if something is supposed to be triggered when you pick it up, this is where you put in a message and it'll interact with whatever you have set as something that can receive that particular message. This is the broadcast type. Everyone in range. This is very similar to what we went through with, I think it was the collectible. So you send a message to everyone in range. So anyone within this yellow gizmo will receive whatever message you've picked. Specific tags in range, again, will send it to everyone in range, but only those who have the specified tag. So you specify the tag here. Or it will only be selected actors. You can then pick a particular asset. I can pick Mr. Adventure Jet right there. So when it sends this message, it is only going to send it to this Adventure Jet. Even if I put more Adventure Jets on the map, it would only send it to this particular one because that is who I picked. So that is what selected actors means. You can add more than one selected actor. Message on drop is basically the same thing. It is just that the message is sent when you let go of the object rather than pick it up. Broadcast type, again, same thing. Everyone range, specific tags in range, and selected actors. And you can increase, decrease the range with this gizmo slider. And that is it for Pickable. Is there anyone here in chat who are going to be participating in the Deadfellas Game Jam? I want to know who's participating. I'll be super disappointed if we don't get a lot of submissions for this one. Just letting you guys know, I'll be personally disappointed with each and every one of you. Okay, play sound component is pretty much what it says on the tin, you know, it plays a sound. You can choose from a library of different sound effects, and that is the sound that this component will send or play. Whether it's looping or not just means exactly what it says on the tin again. If you choose generic door open and you put it on loop, it's gonna keep playing that sound. It's gonna keep opening whatever door it is you're opening. That's gonna be super annoying, but that is what it does. You can regulate the volume, make it loud or not loud. 3D sound. 3D sound means that if you are closer to the object with the sound component, it'll sound louder. If it is further away, it'll sound quieter. Rick Zombie is saying, no idea, we don't discuss things as a studio before Wednesday night my time, which kills 3 days of game development time. Yeah, that's problematic. I see, I can understand. Do you not sometimes participate solo, Woke Zombie? I think I've seen you do your own thing once or twice. Okay. And Little Legion, why are you crying? Is it because you're not participating and you're sad? That I will be upset with you? You should be. Hey, Sparky. Good to see you. Always lovely to see your face here. Well, not really your face, but your name. You can't participate? Oh, why? I love your games. You have such interesting designs. I'm sure you would have been doing awesome for this particular game jam. And Woke is saying, yes, I have participated before. And I'm getting work messages that's popping up in front of my chat screen, so I can't read the chat. Stop messaging me at work. Okay, I have in the past, but that's so much work these days with the quality going up and up. You're right, Work Zombie. I know it is a lot of work as a solo dev. You can definitely do it, but it is a lot of work. Fabulous Wealth is asking, can I create a land here on the Sandbox if I don't want to buy? Do you mean if you don't want to buy a land? Yes, you can't create a land. You can create an experience. So just like what I am doing right now, I am in the game maker. You can create an experience. You don't need a land to do that. You can make it as big or small as you want, although 1 by 1 and up to 2 by 2 right now is our recommended size. And you can upload it to the drafts gallery where people can play. You also can self-publish on land if you have land. And you can also participate in game jams, which, can sometimes provide you opportunities to be onboarded in the Game Maker Fund, which could get you published on our land. And also, game jams also sometimes give you opportunities to be published on our land as well. More on that soon, where we are going to be giving a little bit more details about how all of that's going to work. So if you don't have land, we are working on solutions for those who want to publish games that don't have land. Yep. But I definitely recommend participating in game jams regardless. Always participate in game jams. I'm going to link the active game jam because you should participate, whether you're new or not. Alrighty, let's go back to the stream. Boop. Okay. Alright, I caught up the chat, sorry. Okay, play sound. Did we go through all of that? No, we didn't. 3D sound means whether it's louder or quieter, the further away you are. You can edit the play condition, you can make the sound play on start or on receive message. So for example, if this is a generic door open, you might want to only make that sound once a door opens, which a door can be set to have a message on open. So when it opens, it sends a message to play the sound door open, for example. So this play sound component can receive that message and play the generic open sound, door open sound. Little Legion is saying solo gonna be tough. It's such an interesting theme. Yeah, it is an interesting theme and I love it, and I am really sad that you will not be participating because you are really good at mechanics. You do really interesting things, but I know it's a lot of work to do things solo. Hello, Ian the IT guy. Good to see you. Is interruptible means can you interrupt the sound? So some sounds are long. Let's just say, like, if we have I don't know, funk, I believe that one is it's been a while. Yeah, this is music, so funk is like a music track. So if you have a message that plays and it's got this interruptible thing set to true, you can put a message to stop the music from playing. Same thing you can make it pause as well. So when it pauses, it can start again. All right, so message to send is the message that will send if you put a message there when the sound has finished playing. So once this door has made its opening sound, it may send a message to something else. Broadcast type, again, is just how is it going to send a message. All is just going to send a message to absolutely everything in your experience. So anything that is set to receive whatever message that is put in this one message to send will be receiving that message. Everyone in range, again, is the same within the yellow gizmo, and every specific tags in range we've also been through. Selected actors we've been through, so I'm not going to go through that again. broadcast duration can also be adjusted. Let's speed up a little bit because I feel like we have a lot to go through. Speaker component is a super useful one. Hello V, I'm starting my journey in creating. I've watched your first video so far. Thank you for taking the time to share. You're welcome, Ice Cold Resin. My videos are slightly out of date. It is made over a year ago and on an old Game Maker version, but I do think a lot of the things still hold true, especially because I did go through a lot of the behaviors and components, and a lot of them have not changed. Some of them have changed slightly, but a lot of the information should still be holding true. But we've also got the Game Maker Academy, and that one is also good for you to go through if you're new to creating. So I'm going to link it in chat for you in case you don't know the Game Maker Academy. You should definitely check that out. And also, participate in game jams. I cannot say it enough. Participate in game jams. It's a really good way to both learn and to start creating games. Just churn out a lot of games that you can always, if you don't win, you can always start building on them later. You can expand on them. You can try to apply for the Game Maker Fund. Lots of good opportunities with game jams. So do participate, even if you're new. All right. Speaker is really, really useful. It is designed to just be something that speaks when you interact with it or come close to it. So it can have like a message, just like an ask a behavior. There can be, there will be like a message box for ask a behavior where you can click next or continue the dialogue. For this one, it'll be like a speaker bubble. Or a speech bubble, rather, above the asset that you have assigned the speaker to. But you can also delete all the text in the speaker and it'll not have any speaker bubble, and you will just use the settings instead. So the settings can be quite useful for other things than speech bubbles. I'm going to go down just a little bit here. Speak condition, detect entity. That one is a very useful setting. So what a speaker can do, other than being a speech bubble, is if it detects a specific tag or an avatar in range, so that is an avatar in range is the player, it can send out a message. And this is really useful because it can detect objects, it can detect avatars, it can detect different things, and once it detects something coming within its range, it'll send a message. And this is something that you will 100% be using in your games. It is always a very, very helpful thing to have. You can also have speak condition to be wait for message, but the detect entity is really what makes the speaker component something that you'll be using a lot. You can adjust the range quite large and all the way down to just 1. We did use to be able to make it smaller, and I know a lot of you guys wish that we still could do that, including myself, but right now it is only down to 1. Alright, and this is the message that you're going to be sending out once whatever is you set as detecting, asked it to detect, is detected. So that is the message that'll be sent. Broadcast type, we've already been through all of that. I'm not going to go through that again. You can set the speaker to only send its message once. So once it has detected something, or once it has received whatever input it needs once and it has sent its message, it will not do it again, even if it detects the same thing within its range. Very useful component that you will 100% be using probably quite frequently. Thank you, I've played the Alpha Season 2 and 3 and had a great little game to play 1 to 2 hours a day. Yes, I agree. I'm glad you enjoyed the Alpha Seasons. The Alpha Seasons are always a blast to participate in. I also had a lot of fun. I didn't actually get to play a lot in Alpha Season 3 because I had a lot of other work to do. I just kind of did the things that I had to get the rewards because I wanted to also get that. Sadly, I didn't have a lot of time to just enjoy myself. I did in Alpha Season 1 and 2. I joined the Sandbox just a little while before this first season started, I believe. Alright, toggle behavior is another very useful component. toggle behavior usually should be paired with a behavior, because otherwise, what's it going to toggle? A toggle behavior just means that you will, let's just put a behavior on this one. Animated decoration, that's a good one. Let's put an animated decoration behavior on this one. If you put a toggle behavior on it, you can ask it to start by not animating. So if you turn initial behavior state off, it will not play the animation you have set in the animated decoration upon, the start of the game. Then you can add a message to turn it on. So once it receives that message, it will turn on the animated decoration behavior. If you then receive a message to turn it off, it'll go back off again and it'll stop animating. The toggle message will do both. It'll both turn it on and off. Most of the time, I don't have this. I don't have a message added for toggle message because mostly I do want a message that toggles it on and off, and not both. But you can have one that does both. And of course, as I said, initial behavior state just means whether your asset is going to have the behavior activated at the start or not, or if it needs something else to be activated. Let's delete this behavior. All right. Defeat component. Once it receives a message on whatever it is that happens, you can set different things on receive message, or if you collide with it, or on death. If you die, you lose the game. Basically, that's what's going to happen. It's just going to lose the game. So, pretty simple behavior, but it is useful because how else are you going to lose the game, right? All right, health component. Health component is also another useful thing. Of course, it is useful for anything that you want to be able to kill, such as enemies and other things that you need to be able to destroy in one way or the other. But it can also be useful sometimes to send messages. So it could be that you want to, whenever this thing is destroyed, or if it receives a message, see the instant, wait, sorry. I need to find the correct thing here. Instant death message, right. Sorry. I'm reading chat as well and I'm getting distracted. It's such an exciting theme. I know it is. Why don't you just start making a game, Little Legion? And then if you don't finish, okay, you can always work on it later, And Little Legion is completely correct. We all start somewhere, and you'll be surprised how easy it is to make cool stuff. Yes. I mean, of course, it requires talent, it requires dedication and work to do something that's good, but you can absolutely do it. And one thing that I think I would advise, especially for solo creators taking part in game jams, is that you need to be good at time management, because as a solo creator, you obviously don't have as many resources available, so you need to be smart about where you focus your time. My advice would be to reduce the amount of time you spend on creating assets, because assets take a lot of time, and assets is not a main criteria for making a good game. Of course, assets make an influence on the games, because you can make a stunning game, and of course that'll blow us away. It might give you some points in wow factor and in level design, but overall there are other things you could focus on that will also give you a lot of points. And I would suggest that you try to keep asset design at a minimum to get yourself some more time. Use as many of the basic assets from the Game Maker library as you can, and then create a few custom assets yourself, the ones that are important for the game. So, if there's some kind of asset that is really important for your game, you make sure to use those. So, for example, when I made my second game jam, really, I made a game called Dragon Rogue, if you don't know. And that one was primarily made with basic assets. I made very few assets for that game and it's still ranked third, and that's because I did not spend too much time on making assets. I was just doing it quickly, and whatever assets were most important. So I needed a big tree in the center of my map, so I did spend some time on that tree. Then I needed a specific look for the other foliage on my map, so I made very, very quick and simple foliage. I did not spend a lot of time. I just used the correct palettes so that it all felt a little bit streamlined, so that it fit with the theme of the game I was making. And then I just did it as simple as possible. This was not beautiful asset design. It wasn't. I will flat out admit that. It wasn't beautiful asset design, but it fit the theme of my game and it helped me create the look that I wanted, and with minimal effort and minimal time spent. So I used basic assets and I used a few blocks that I designed myself. Blocks are also easy and quick and will also heavily influence the way your game looks, and a few important assets and things to make my game look the way I want it. And I heavily suggest that you do the same if you're solo creating, because it will reduce the time that you spend by quite a lot. Outsource your assets, Sparky says. Yes, you can also do that. And if you are a lucky person who has an asset artist friend, you can team up with them and they can take care of that part. But if you don't have an asset artist friend, and if you have a little bit of cash to spend to make someone make a few assets for you, you could do that too. Or you can buy some assets on the marketplace if that's what you would like to do. There are some options there as well, of course. But if you are not able to do any of those things, just cutting down on the amount of assets and the amount of time that you spend detailing those assets will heavily reduce the time you spend making a game for a game jam. You could always do that later, So for the game jam, if you haven't done that many assets and you would have liked to do more assets, or you would have liked the assets that you used to be a little more detailed, then you can always go back to that. But for the sake of the contest, it is not as important. So it might not get you as many WoW points in looks and stuff, but the WoW points are still just up to 2 points anyway. And if you might still be able to make a unique look and get some points there anyway. So it's really that's the place I would recommend cutting down. Okay. So I really just have 9 minutes left on my stream, so I'm not going to go through the complicated things you can do with the health component, because you can do a lot of fun little things. So the health component is, in its essence, used as something that allows you to kill or destroy something else. But you can use it as a receiver and sender of messages in certain cases as well. And that is where it's useful, especially with the death delay that you can increase to, let's say, 2 seconds, which means that, the message that it'll only send after it is destroyed, 2 seconds after it is destroyed. So it can also function as a kind of way to time the message that you want to send if you don't want the message to be sent immediately upon something happening. We've gone through indicator. That was the single player indicator, but same thing. Victory component is very similar to defeat component. So basically you can trigger the victory screen on a game if you receive a message, if you collide with it, or if you die. If you die, you win. Interesting. I mean, I guess there could be games where that would be fun. Climbable is exactly what it says on the tin again. It allows you to climb the asset that you have placed. That will often be a ladder. It could be some foliage. Perhaps it could be other things, but it will allow you to climb. You can adjust the climbing speed of that asset. So, if you reduce that, you're going to be climbing really, really slow. Multiplayer collectible. You can collect things in multiplayer and everyone can collect it. Multiplayer drop means that it is synchronized, so something drops, everyone will be able to see that it drops. I think I'm gonna skip past those because we've already gone through what these components do. These are just the multiplayer versions of it, and I've explained the difference between multiplayer and single player. Okay, rarity VFX we haven't done. So rarity VFX is going to be depending on the rarity of the asset that you put it on. So let's see if I have anything in the library. We've got something here that's legendary. So if I was to put a rarity VFX on a legendary asset, it would show a orange glow. It would show an orange glow. There we go. Here, legendary orange. And you can adjust the intensity. You can play around with these settings to see what fits what you want. You can create some fun things with this. The rarity VFX can be used to make spotlights, perhaps, if that's what you want. So there are some uses for that, but in its essence, it will just simply create a light based on the rarity of the asset. So the common ones, like this one, will just emit a gray light. If it is uncommon, it'll emit a green light. If it's rare, it'll emit a blue light. And if it is epic, it'll emit a purple light, and then it'll emit a legendary orange light. All right, so let's see, what else do we have? Slide is a fun one. There isn't much for you to edit here, but basically it allows you to slide on the surface. So if you add this to an asset, it means you can slide on that asset. Speaker we've been through, toggle we've been through, play sound we've been through, and Pickable we've been through. Great. So these are just the multiplayer versions. And to just go through that again for those who weren't there in the beginning, multiplayer simply means that whatever you do, if you interact with this logic in a multiplayer game, and it is multiplayer logic, it will be the changes that are made or the things that happen. The interaction you do with that logic will be visible or will happen to everyone else on the map. If it is single player logic in a multiplayer game, it will only happen locally to that particular player. So client only, synchronized to everyone. That's how that works. All right, we are towards the end, so I'm just quickly going to go through the stuff again. The game jam. I have already advertised this to death on this stream, but I am going to do it again in case anyone's here who weren't there before. Hey, Garnakin, good to see you here at the very end of the stream. Deadfellas Game Jam started on Monday. Please do participate because this theme is awesome. It's boss battle. Design an exciting boss battle. You can get inspired by the Deadfellas if you want to. They have their own avatar collection, did you know? So do create a boss fight. I want to see. Please do it. I'm so excited for this theme, and I just want to see a lot of good boss fights. I want to be challenged. Okay, I am a nerd who used to love all of these RPGs. And World of Warcraft. I used to be a guild leader in World of Warcraft and organize raids and stuff, and I love complicated boss battles. Show me a fun boss battle, okay? Let me see a fun boss battle. And I don't know if I mean, multiplayer unfortunately is a bit difficult because we've got limited multiplayer logic that can deal with anything to do with damage. So I would love that. If you can figure something out, sure, absolutely go ahead. I mean, we cannot use stuff like health. We cannot, directly damage an enemy, but there might be some other kind of logic that you can implement that will make it feel like a boss battle. Who knows? I don't know. You guys get creative. That's your job, not mine. Even though I also make games, but that's not currently what I'm doing. I'm doing this. I'm organizing this contest. So you guys do the brain work of how you'll do that. But if you do a multiplayer boss battle and you pull it off, I want to personally give you a medal because I'll be very happy. But if you do a single player one, I'll be equally happy. Do participate in this game jam also because there are exciting prizes. Of course, there's 50,000 sand like usual. But the dead fellas also generously added 10 lands to the prize pool. These 10 lands come directly from their own estate, so you'll be their neighbor, and that'll be pretty cool, not gonna lie. So you're gonna get a land from the dead fellas, and if you are so lucky and so talented that you place in first place, you'll also get a dead fellas NFT. Hype, everyone. And also, of course, outside the 10th place, we will also pick up to 10 winners across the 3 additional categories, winning 1,000 sand each, honorable mentions, rising star, best newcomers. So do get in here. We have lots of awards and lots of sand to give away, and we want to reward our builders, okay? We want to reward our builders, as many as possible. We like you guys. We want you guys to be doing great stuff, okay? And important dates, 17th of September. Please do not forget to upload or submit your game to the form and in the Game Maker gallery by 3 p.m. UTC on the 17th of September. Please upload to the gallery, not on the map. Do not publish, do not use the globe up here. Okay, a couple of people have done that lately, and that is not how you submit to a game jam. You use the paper airplane, so you share it to the gallery. Alright. My voice is damaged from all the talking, so I think it is good that we are lacking towards an end. So you guys have a good one today, and I will see you in the Game Maker stream on next Wednesday. I will also see you tomorrow night if you are joining me for the Panda Pops Thursday stream, where I co-host with Panda. I'll be there as well. I'll be there on Monday as well for the Voxel stream with Panda Pops, our lovely Voxel community manager. But for today, that was me, Game Maker community manager, Veepyre. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.